Imagine waking up today and the 4th of July is just another Thursday. There is no Constitution, no Bill of Rights, no "we the people." Instead of a president, we have a royal governor. Instead of the stars and stripes, the Union Jack flies over the Capitol building in New London. We like to think of American independence as an inevitability, a spark that couldn't be extinguished. But in the frozen mud of Valley Forge, the American dream almost died in its sleep. Today, we're stepping through a tear in the fabric of time to explore the gritty, alternate reality of a British North America. I'm Clyde Chester, and this is the history that almost was. History doesn't turn on a dime, it turns on a damp fuse or a missed letter. To understand a failed revolution, we have to look at the winter of 1777. The Continental Army is a collection of ragtag and bobtailed farmers shivering in the Pennsylvania woods. In our timeline, they survived. But in this one, imagine George Washington is captured during a desperate scouting mission. Without his indispensable presence to hold the factions together, the Continental Congress dissolves into bickering and finger-pointing. The vibe of the rebellion shifts from defiant to desperate. By the spring of 1778, the Great Reconcilement begins. It's not a glorious peace, it's a quiet, crushing return to the status quo. The leaders, Jefferson, Adams, Hancock, aren't icons on our currency. In this world, they are footnotes in a British ledger, labeled as misguided gentlemen, or more likely, executed for high treason on the Boston Common. Without the Louisiana Purchase, which Napoleon would never have sold to a British colony, the United States remains a thin ribbon of settlements hugging the Atlantic. The Proclamation Line of 1763 remains strictly enforced by redcoats. This means the Great Plains and the West aren't settled by American pioneers, but remain a massive British-protected Indian reserve, designed to keep the colonists hemmed in and manageable. Imagine a North America that looks more like a patchwork of dominions. The Dominion of New England, the Southern Plantations, and perhaps a massive interior territory. Chicago, a small British trading post. Los Angeles, still a dusty Spanish mission. The manifest destiny that defined the American psyche is replaced by a slow, methodical British colonial expansion. We don't become a continental powerhouse, we stay a loyal coastal outpost. Let's zoom in on the local culture. Without the revolution, Boston remains the most British city on earth. Instead of the cradle of liberty, it's the jewel of the North Atlantic. Imagine the cobblestones of Beacon Hill echoing not with the speeches of Samuel Adams, but with the crisp boots of a permanent British garrison. The cultural North Star isn't Philadelphia or D.C., it's London. The elite of Virginia don't dream of building a new republic, they dream of sending their sons to Oxford and being granted a peerage. The very language we speak retains its British lilt. Cricket is played on the village greens of Ohio. High tea is a staple of the South Carolinian social calendar. The fierce, rugged individualism that we call American is tempered, replaced by a deep-seated respect for hierarchy, tradition, and the social order of the British class system. This is where the story takes a somber, complex turn. The British Empire abolished slavery in 1833. In our timeline, the United States fought the bloodiest war in its history to reach that same conclusion 30 years later. In a British North America, would the peculiar institution have ended sooner, mandated by a parliament thousands of miles away? Or would the powerful Southern tobacco and cotton lords have staged their own Brexit to keep their slaves? This alternate history suggests a North America that might have avoided a civil war, but faced a century of simmering colonial unrest and racial tension handled through British divide-and-rule tactics. The southern United States might have looked more like 19th century South Africa, a complex, rigid society struggling under the weight of an empire that values profit over people. As we move into the 20th century, the global ripple effect is staggering. Without the American arsenal of democracy, who stops the Kaiser in 1917? Who stands against the darkness of the 1940s? A British North America is a powerful ally, but it isn't the independent industrial engine that redefined the modern world. The American century never happens. The music, the movies, the technology, the vibe of the modern world loses its American edge. No Hollywood, no Silicon Valley, no jazz, just a long, slow extension of the Victorian era. As we look at the flag flying over the Governor General's mansion in 2025, we realize that while the world might be more orderly, it is significantly less bright. We often complain about the messiness of our democracy, the noise of our politics, and the ruggedness of our culture. But standing here, in the shadow of what could have been, you realize that the American Revolution wasn't just about taxes or tea. It was about the radical, dangerous idea that people should govern themselves. The failed revolution reminds us that our history was a choice, a series of impossible gambles that actually paid off. We aren't a colony because a few thousand freezing men at Valley Forge decided that liberty was a vibe worth dying for. I'm Clyde Chester, and thanks for exploring the what if with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what's one American thing you couldn't live without.